Good evening. Welcome to Solutions for Seniors. I'm Linda Pellerin, the Executive Director of the Shepherd Center of Charlotte. We're a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to keeping seniors in their homes for as long as possible. And we do that through various programs and services. And one of the programs that we offer yearly is our tax aid program, and that's what this program today is going to be all about. I have Jan Feltz here with me, and she is the tax aid coordinator for the Shepherd Center, and we have some really exciting news this year, don't we?
We are moving again. We move every year. We're always looking for a home. This year we're going to be at Aide, which is on Park Road, 3600 Park Road, right next to the YWCA. It's kind of between Woodlawn and downtown. So we are very happy.
And I should say that in 2011 we were at Southminster Retirement Community, and it was a really, I mean, they were very gracious to have us there, and it was a really wonderful site for us. The only problem with it was that we were using our computer lab there, the computer lab that the Shepherd Center uses for our computer classes.
Right.
And while you all were in there doing taxes, we couldn't have computer classes.
Right. We did kind of kick you all out, but that was a problem. But this year we're going to have a whole new set of computers, and so you guys are going to be able to keep your lab intact 5 days a week, and we will not be bothering you so much as last year.
And you know, and that's fine, you know, and we're really grateful to Atrium Marywood for opening their doors to us.
Very much.
They're giving us an entire apartment, which is going to be great, and we're going to have 2 rooms with computers in them, and they'll all be networked, and you'll be able to get on the internet.
We will.
And you'll be able to, from what I understand, you'll be able to file returns over the internet.
We're doing everything on the internet now. We do e-files. I might back up and say everything we do is free of charge. We prepare returns, both your federal, the North Carolina, in some cases people also have South Carolina. We e-file all of those. Everything is free. We do everything over the computer, give you a copy of your return to take home in case you need to reference it for any reason, but when you leave our site, you're finished.
Well, now, we have been partnering for how long?
Gosh, 7 years with me, but many years before that, at least 10 before that, before it went to computer.
Yes.
I've been doing it since we computerized everything, so we've been doing it quite a while.
And many people may remember us being over at Myers Park Baptist Church, which is where we started the program, because we were housed at Myers Park Baptist Church. And then we moved first over to Trinity Presbyterian Church because Myers Park needed the space for, I think it was a preschool program.
Right.
And you were able to, the tax aid program was able to stay there for a few more years because you were still filing some paper returns. And
we were filing a lot of paper returns at that point.
Yeah.
And then it got a little tricky when we went to computers because we had to bring them in, we had to wire everything up, we had wires running everywhere.
Yeah.
Now the software has moved forward to where it's on the internet, and so we don't need to have separate individual computers with the software being loaded on the whole thing. It's just so easy.
It wasn't, I mean, if I remember correctly too, back in those days, you had to bring the computers home and then hook it up to the internet and then file that way.
We did.
Which makes it, actually, it's probably a lot safer now because you're doing it that way. If something were to happen.
The encryption is so advanced now that they're just, and everybody's had to kind of get used to these kinds of things being on the computer, but we really haven't found that our older folks have been all that concerned about it. Everybody understands that this is the way the world is going, and while this is a lot easier for us, I don't think the taxpayer really notices a whole lot of difference in how we're getting everything done.
Now, if let's just say I'm a senior. Well, I am a senior. Let's pretend I'm a senior, and I want to get my taxes done. Now, and of course, the first thing they need to do is call us and make an appointment.
Correct.
But then, you know, what do they need to bring with them?
Always bring last year's tax return. That's almost the first thing we're going to ask for, so that we can kind of get particularly if we didn't do it, we can get an idea of where you are, where you stand, what kinds of items you have. Bring your Social Security card, your driver's license, all your documentation that you've gotten in the mail all during January, W-2s, 1099s, your broker statements. Bring everything that you possibly think could be used on your tax return. If we don't need it, that's great, but if we do, we really do need it.
Now, what if somebody shows up and they don't have everything? You realize that. Do you do as much as you can and have them come back? Or do you say, you know what, we need to set up another appointment for you?
It depends on what the deficiency is. If we have an identification problem, like your Social Security card or your driver's license, we probably would go ahead and say you need to just make another appointment. If they're just missing maybe one of their broker statements or something like that, we might do get it done as far as we can and just say come back when you get it. Let the receptionist know that 90% of your return is already done. We try to make it easy for people, particularly if they don't have something they need. There's always something that can be left out. If we don't get anything done, we'll generally reschedule it. But if we get a lot of it done, it's pretty easy to come back and get it finished.
Yeah. How long does it take to do an average return?
Gosh, that's hard to say. Early in the year, when people generally are coming in that work and just have a couple of W-2s and that's kind of it might take 20, 25 minutes. Later in the year, when we get to the end of March, when all the brokerage statements, the people are coming in that have investments and have stock sales and that kind of thing, it could take up to an hour and a half. It just depends on the complication of what your documents are, which is really hard to predict.
Well, that was my next question is, how complicated can it be for you, or do you have like a cutoff? If somebody has a lot of investments or something, do you say, you know what, maybe you need to go to see, an accountant or something like that?
That is a very rare occurrence. We are geared towards seniors, low-income people, and with a special, emphasis on seniors. Mm-hmm. We know that a lot of the seniors have investments and that kind of thing. We can handle any kind of broker statements, all the Schedule D things, the capital gains and losses. The only thing that we really don't, we have a few things that are out of scope, primarily rental property. If you have a rental property business, we won't do that. And we will say, this is probably something you need to get handled. But that happens maybe once a year. We just have very, very few things that we can't handle.
Well, that's really good.
It is good. I was surprised when I started doing this how many things that we can handle, and every year it's gotten more and more. Fewer things are out of scope. So now it's pretty much, unless you have something really complicated with depreciation, amortization, that kind of thing, rental income, we can do just about anything.
Now, okay, let's go to the other side of it. You've got the people that are coming in to get their tax returns, and what about the people who are doing the tax returns? Everybody's a volunteer,
right? And nobody gets paid anything.
Right.
We're mostly retired folks. We have a lot of Duke Energy and IBM people that are retired. We go through what we feel like is a very rigorous training program every year. We have to be certified every year by the IRS. We have to complete a test and pass it every single year. The first few years you do it, it seems like a lot, and then gradually things start coming back, but there are always some things that are new, always things that are different, and we have to just be trained top-notch every single year. So everybody goes through that and passes the test and comes in and volunteers their Tuesdays and Thursdays to do returns for people.
Now, the testing itself, how long does that take?
Well, the test itself, you could probably do in an hour and a half, but the review that you have to do to get to the test, I generally spend the better part of a week. The first year I spent the better part of a month, but as it kind of comes back, it takes about a week. But you have to be pretty into it all day, every day for about a week to refresh yourself. Remember, oh yeah, I remember this. It doesn't come back instantly, but it does come back.
Mm-hmm. And so, just for people whom maybe in the future might want to volunteer to do this, you don't have to volunteer every Tuesday and every Thursday.
No, you don't. We ask for 4 hours a week, which would theoretically be a Tuesday or a Thursday, but all of my people do both Tuesday and Thursday. I personally do 4 days a week because I work 2 days at another site. So we do ask for you to give us at least 1 day a week, and I just find that everybody pretty much wants to come back and do both. Mm-hmm. So that just doesn't seem to be a problem.
And how many counselors are you going to have at the site at Atria?
We'll have 8. We'll have 6 preparing returns and 2 of us doing the quality review. Every return gets reviewed by 2 people. It doesn't get out of the site until the second person has gone through every single piece of paper, made sure every single number is entered correctly before it's e-filed. So there'll be 8 of us.
So the tax return is filed over the internet,
Right?
And so we'll call them the client, or the person coming in to get their tax return done. What do they leave with? I mean, do they get a copy of all of that?
They get a full paper copy of their 1040, their North Carolina return, if they need it, their South Carolina return, and then all their documents we pretty much put in one envelope, label it 2011, and say, please bring this back next year. And our clients, our Shepherd Center clients, are pretty schooled on the whole process. We pretty much don't have problems with people bringing back everything they need. But then you have a hard copy of what's been filed if you ever need, like if you ever get a notice from them or something like that. It's not all voodoo.
Right.
There is some black and white copies that you can look at.
Exactly. Okay, so the program is going to start on
February 2nd.
February 2nd, which is a Tuesday. And
it's a Thursday.
Oh, it's a Thursday. That's right. And seeing my calendar in my head now. And it's going to, okay, so it's starting February 2nd, and it's going to go to April
12th.
April 12th.
It'll be Tuesdays and Thursdays every week from the 2nd through April 12th.
Okay, and it starts at
10 o'clock, and our last appointment's 1:30. So if you call the Shepherd Center, 365-1995, you can make an appointment. We do them at the top of the hour and the half hour.
Okay, so we space them out every 30 minutes because we can do that because we have 8 counselors that are doing that. So.
Right.
Okay, and I'm in talking from my end of it. We at the Shepherd Center, we have volunteers that take down the appointments and everything and keep the appointment book and all of that. And we try to make sure that it's kind of hard in the beginning because we don't always get a lot of people on February 2nd.
Right.
But we try to fill in all the slots so that the counselors aren't sitting there, going, well, I'm hungry or.
You're pretty successful with that. We stay pretty full from the time like I said, the people that come in early are generally the people that are earning wages and they have gotten their W-2 in January and they just want to get their refund.
Yeah.
So it really does, and then it just gradually gets to the people that are retired and have investments.
Right. And I should say that if you want to call and make an appointment and you don't have all of your paperwork yet, go ahead and call and make an appointment anyway, because you can always call back and say, you know what, all my stuff isn't here yet, and then you can push it back to another date. And at least get on the books the first time, and hopefully all your paperwork will be there, and you can, you'll be good to go.
Generally speaking, brokerage statements, they have till the end of February to send their statements out. W-2s have to be out by the end of January.
Right.
So if you make an appointment in March, if you have brokerage accounts, if you make an appointment in March, you can pretty much be sure that you'll have your stuff by then.
And I'm not sure if we mentioned this, but you do this in partnership with AARP.
Yes.
And you're actually you're trained through the IRS, but you're also
Right.
trained through AARP
Right.
and how you do everything. And AARP has been doing this for how long?
Since 1968. It's the AARP Foundation, and they really started out, I think, to focus a lot on seniors, and they ended up with every kind of person in the world. I mean, we do 16-year-olds that work in the summer. We don't have, a lot of people think because AARP is supporting this that it's only for seniors, but it's for everybody. And we don't really have limits. We don't, you pretty much know people that are coming in that need, our goal is to do tax returns for people that can't afford to pay somebody $150 to do their tax return. And we don't worry about how old that person is. But AARP does support it, and it's kind of in conjunction with the IRS, who provides all the training materials, the testing. But we have 6 sites in Charlotte. We have sites in every city in the United States. We do thousands of returns free of charge, and it is a service that people really do need, particularly now when jobs are hard to find, and we've got so many people that are unemployed, have lost their jobs. I mean, the stories just break your heart. They don't have $150, and you just about can't get a return done for less than that. So I might have veered off a little bit, but we're for everybody.
Right, and usually there comes a point where we fill up as far as our appointments go and everything. Can you tell us where some of the other sites are?
Well, we have 6 in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area, and the thing to do would be go on aarp.org/taxaide with an E on the end, and that will give, if you put in your zip code, it will give you all the sites that are anywhere close to you. And every site has a different phone number. So, you know, our particular site has your phone number, but we don't make appointments for any of the other sites, and vice versa. So if you go on the AARP website, that would be the way to find out.
Okay, and you can also go to the AARP website to find out more about, you know, the program, how it got started and everything, and I believe they used to do some of the tax counseling at some of the libraries, didn't they?
We do. We do Steel Creek Library, South County Regional Library, University City Library. I think those are the only three. And then we have Senior Center Levine, Senior Center Tyvola, our site, and I can't remember the sixth one.
And some of the counselors are like you. They go to some of the other sites as well,
Some
right?
do. There's the Steel Creek coordinator works with me 2 days, and then I work with her 2 days. So we end up 4 days a week by the end of the season wondering what in the world we've done. And then we get to the January again, and we're like, okay, well, we'll go again. So it really is a rewarding thing to do. And if your brain kind of works that way, I sort of feel like that's something I can give that people don't always know how to do, and Nancy and I both enjoy it a lot.
How did you get involved with the program to begin with?
That's crazy that you would ask me that. I was in my working life was a CPA, and I had stayed home to raise my son, and I was at the hairdresser one day. Nancy was there, and she was talking to the hairdresser about this, and I thought, okay, so I asked him, I said, who was that, and what was she talking about? And he told me, so I called her. And she said, oh, come on, you got to help me. You know, you got to work at my site this year. And this was 7 years ago. So I went down to Steel Creek and worked with her. And we did that a couple of years. She said, okay, you've got to have a site. And I went, no, I really don't. She said, no, you do. We're computerizing Myers Park. Let's let that be your site. And I lost my battle, and I ended up doing that. And now as we've moved around, it was just a fluke how it happened. Because I was looking to volunteer and use those CPA skills somehow. But I figured that was going to be kind of hard to do, and this just fit right in with what I wanted to do.
Well, I have to tell you that some of the counselors for the tax aid program they still do that, but then now they also do our Seniors Health Insurance Information Program.
Right.
If you have that kind of mind,
I know
you understand the whole Medicare thing.
Right.
And so we picked up several of our SHIP counselors through the tax aid program.
The trick on that is to get somebody that's not so completely worn out from taxes that they'll agree to go do something else. But that's true. Plus working with the seniors, and in most cases we all are seniors too. You know, if you can help people understand all this complicated, not only the tax stuff, which you know everybody knows is hard, the insurance is just as challenging for people. So it does kind of go hand in hand.
Now, I'm going to go back a little bit. You know, we talked about that it's all online now, that you know, you use the internet and everything. Do you work, when you're filling out the tax form, the software, is it through the IRS? Is it through AARP, or is it special software?
It's called TaxWise, and it's through the IRS. And they have a website, and Commerce Clearinghouse are the people who developed it. You just get on the website, put in the number for our site, and it's all encrypted 1,000,000 times so that nothing can ever interfere. Plus, we have dedicated internet to just for our site. And you do the tax return, you push the button, and it goes to the IRS.
Well, and I have to mention too that you know we're going to be working very closely with Rich McKnight, who is our past board president for the Shepherd Center. And Rich has a very long history working with computers and everything, and he's going to be helping to, well, he actually is going to be setting up the 8 computers that are going to be in the 2 rooms that we're going to be using in that apartment at Atrium Marywood. And the computers are going to be networked, and Rich tends to go out of town a lot. He's a retired guy, and I have to share with everyone, Jan's a little worried that when Rich is out of town, something's going to go wrong with one of the computers. And I have to tell you, just last month, we met a young man that is from China, and he came to us because he wants to work with our computer program.
Isn't that wonderful?
And he's educated as an electrical engineer, but his real big thing is working with computers, and so he's been helping to set up the computers with Rich, and he's in town.
That's wonderful.
You know, he assured us he's not going back to China anytime soon.
That's great.
And so there will be a backup for you, and so that's going to be a really big help, because I know when you're counting on a computer and all of a sudden it's not working.
Right.
You know, I panic. I'm like,
well,
oh my gosh.
Rich is the reason that we are still able to do this, because when I was having to carry 6 computers, and the IRS and the AARP give us laptops, and a lot of our sites have IRS and AARP laptops. When I was having to carry those back and forth in my car, I mean, it got to the point where this just isn't going to work, you know. And so for him to have furnished computers both this year, and he supported us last year. Without him, we wouldn't be still been able to do it.
Yes, you know, Rich does have you know, access to getting computers.
He
They're
does.
used, but you know, he makes them work.
Right.
And
that's all we need at this point. We don't need a fabulously fast computer to put our software in. I mean, we just need to be able to get to the internet, and that is a huge improvement over 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you know, in Myers Park, you know, they were very kind to us for all those years that we were working with them and everything, but you know, the building that we were using really was not set up for computers, probably still isn't.
Right.
And that was one of the reasons why we started scouting around in 2010 looking for a place.
Right.
And that's why we were able in 2011. Because I have to stop and think. You know,
what year is it?
It seems like it was a long time ago that we did it the last time. It was just 2011 that we were at Southminster, and that worked out well. Except, you know, parking at Southminster too. Everyone had to park at the church next door and go down some stairs and then find their way to the front door or to a side door and then be escorted. At Southminster, the computer lab is actually it's on the first floor, but you enter on the second floor, so you have to wind your way through the building, which was a benefit for them because the seniors were getting a chance to look at Southminster and look at the facility. But then they had to go down an elevator down to the computer lab, and it's not always easy to find. Several years ago, Southminster was under construction. They were renovating and expanding, and I had to go over there a lot to welcome computer classes. And while they were under construction, every single time I went, and it was like once every couple weeks, they had a different way to go in and a different way to get to the computer lab. I spent my whole time there with a little map going, okay, now where am I?
I think that's the way a lot of people felt last year too.
Yeah, I mean, it is confusing if you've not been there and you hadn't, and you know, trying to wind your way, even though we had escorts for them. Right. It's going to be a little bit easier at Atrium Marywood. You know, the elevator is not as far to get to, and you know, once you're off the elevator on the floor where the apartment is, where we're going to be doing the tax aid program, it's just a straight shot right into the apartment, so it'll be much easier for everyone. Right,
and we might note that we'll be parking at the YWCA next door, which has a similar agreement with Atria that Southminster had with the church. And there's a side entrance, and we'll have signage again where you just walk around the front to the main lobby. Getting into the building is going to be a lot easier this year, I think, too.
Yeah.
And the parking is very plentiful.
Right. Okay. So let's review again. It's going to start Thursday, February 2nd.
Right.
And it's going to go until April 12th, which is
I'm thinking that's a Thursday too.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. And it's going to time-wise, it's starting at what time?
10 o'clock Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And it's going to go till
last appointment will be 1:30, depending on how complicated your return is. You might be there a little later than 2 or 3 o'clock, but that's always contingent on what's going on. So 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, essentially, Tuesdays and Thursdays at Atrium Marywood.
That's right. And the other thing, too, is it's too late now for someone if they wanted to be a counselor.
Yes.
But if someone wanted to volunteer as a counselor, what is the process they need to do?
You can go to the AARP website for that also, or you could contact me through you if you were interested in a Charlotte position, and we have a whole network of people here that they take the person's name and get in contact with you. We start in December and have training the 1st of January, and the testing has to be done by the end of January. So you really have to be kind of on the map in the fall for the following year.
Right, right. So really what we want to do is if you're interested in being a counselor for the tax aid program through AARP, and it's only January now, I'd say maybe you want to start the process, get in touch with me at the Shepherd Center, 704-365-1995, like maybe even in July.
Right.
So
or go on the website, the AARP website, and they will give you some guidance there too. They'll give you a number to call.
Right, right. And, and then just don't lose patience. Jan will be in touch with you. And overall, how many counselors are there in Mecklenburg County?
Oh, I don't know the answer to that. If we have 8, there have to be at least 60 or 70.
Wow, that's a lot.
Right, we have a lot of return people. People come back year after year. Like I say, when you get through in April, you think, oh, that was hard. And then when it gets to be about November, December, it's just time to do that.
You've refreshed. I know.
Right.
Trust me, I have seen Jan in April.
It's very, very ugly.
And she's ready for a break, and she's ready to take the summer off and everything. And but here it is January. She's ready to go again.
Ready to go again.
And we're really happy to have you with the program, and we appreciate all you do for it.
Well, same with you. We wouldn't be operative. Our site would not be operative anymore without you guys. So hopefully we serve your constituency well, and everybody keeps coming back.
Well, and we hope so too.
Yeah.
I want to remind everybody that this is the Shepherd Center of Charlotte. We do have Adventures in Learning, which is going to be starting the 23rd of this month here in January, and that runs on 6 consecutive Mondays. That's an educational program for the Shepherd Center and for seniors, and it's a lot of fun. So if you've got your Mondays free, you might want to come out and visit. And we hold that at Pritchard Memorial Baptist Church. And also we have computer classes. Those are going to be going on full steam ahead because we're not going to be at Southminster for the tax program this year. And we have a travel program where, we go on trips all over the Southeast. And that should do it for us today. We look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you.